London's the residence. When no wonder is ever the same, or you're striving for greatness. A place full of angels and sinners, but I'm surrounded by winners. Rise is one of the realest. Phoenix is one of the illest.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Chaos, and welcome to a new episode of Take It to the Table. Yes. As you can see, we have upped the levels here. We are here live in Pirate Studios, and I am joined none other by than Mr. Rhymes. Welcome to the show, Mr. Rhymes.
Hey, good to be here.
Yes. Yeah. Unfortunately, Rise couldn't be here.
Yeah.
Mr. Rhymes has obviously come in and filled in Rise's shoes, and I'm sure he would do a good job as always. Topics of today, really, we're going to be talking about the latest pay-per-view that's just been and gone, which is Hell in a Cell. We're going to dissect all the matches and everything that's been going on there. Going to dabble in a bit with the draft that's also happened as well, right. And also post-Raw as well. That's after Hell in a Cell. What's been going on there? You're gonna see the return of the most famous game, which is Push, Fire, and Bury. That's been called back due to popular demand. and also be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Noticed in the insights that a lot of people that be viewing the videos, a majority of y'all don't subscribe. What the hell's wrong with you? Why just up and leave after you get your fix? Just, if you want to know when's the next upcoming episodes and all the things going on, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the show. All right, so enough of that promo talk. Without further ado, let's take it to the table. All right. Yes. And also, by the way, I'm fucking hungry as well. I'm just gonna be so it was either gonna be two things. You're gonna hear munching, or he's gonna be hearing a loud stomach throughout this whole, because these things pick up. So yeah, I'm gonna be eating some wings and talk about wrestling. So yeah, we are here for it, as you said. Mm-hmm. Also, a huge shout out to Buff Chicken with the fruit punch. Even though I don't know if your stuff tastes good yet, but still, just a little bit.
That was like the worst promo ever.
Yeah, I know, right? But still, a huge shout out to Buff Chicken. Anyway, like I said, Hell in a Cell has been and gone. So, you've seen it. I've seen it. What are your thoughts, like your general thoughts of that pay-per-view as a whole?
As a whole, I feel like it's. I feel like in WWE, the how can I put it? The
hold on.
Oh damn.
Proceed.
I feel like the what's it called? The excitement, or the kind of the ooh factor for Hell in a Cell for me has kind of really like diminished over the years.
Understandable.
So I am like, admittedly, the last Hell in a Cell match that I've really been like uber excited to see. Like, it was like oh my god, like it's Hell in a Cell. Like, I really want to see this match, and it's gonna sound really bad, but the last one that I genuinely was excited to see was Edge versus Undertaker at SummerSlam.
I thought you was gonna say The Fiend versus Seth Rollins.
Oh god, no. I didn't even like. We've even had like the conversations. I still have not actually watched that whole pay per view.
You're a good man.
I only watched Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch on that pay per view.
That is mad.
So that was all I watched. I didn't watch their match. I didn't watch the rest of the show because I think it was a work night for me and stuff. So I just didn't watch it.
Yeah.
But that Hell in a Cell was just the one where it's like they fused the what's it called? Well, first of all, it was the last Hell in a Cell that was as wide as the entire ring.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Now the Hell in a Cell is like, it only goes to where the stairs go.
Yeah.
So you can still walk outside the cell, whereas I think back then it was all the way to the barricade.
Yeah.
And I think it was the introduction of the cell being so tall.
Yeah.
And then it was also the fusion of, it was Hell in a Cell, but it was TLC inside Hell in a Cell because of Edge.
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And then that was the last Hell in a Cell match for me that I was genuinely like, in the build up and everything. That was the last Hell in a Cell match that I was actually fully invested in, and that I actually enjoyed, because every Hell in a Cell match after that, in my opinion, has either been like really watered down, not so violent, and then it's like they do a lot of all these things with these weird camera angles, and then they keep changing the cell. And then right now, I guess we're going through this thing where Hell in a Cell for some reason is red.
Yeah,
which is really distracting.
it's really. But then again, it's much better than last year, where it was not just the cage was red, but the lights were also red as well.
Oh right, yeah, but
So-
it wasn't only red for the Fiend because it wasn't red in Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch. Was it
yeah, I
red?
guess not. Yeah, I guess
How
not.
many cells were in that on that pay per view?
3.
So there was-
Wait. This pay per view.
This one was free.
Yeah.
But how many was at last year's one? Was it just
I
two?
think it was just a 2. Yeah.
Okay.
Or maybe was last year Randy Orton against Jeff Hardy.
No, I think it was the year before.
Okay, then it was just 2 then.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think Randy Orton and Jeff Hardy, that was the year. That was the opening pay per view, opening match for a Hell in a Cell pay per view.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that would have been the main event was Roman and Braun maybe.
Possibly,
cash
yeah.
in.
And then yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. So but yeah. So other than that, yeah, and also with this particular pay per view, it's like I really feel like right now WWE have a tendency to really treat their lesser pay per views as lesser pay per views.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And it's like, because even though the
Filler.
time, yeah, because even there's times, so right now I'm going through, I'm watching all pay-per-views again, like old ones and whatnot, and right now I've gone from 2000 into 2001, and it's like, even then, when you're watching the filler pay-per-views, they still feel like big nights, like
Yep.
things are going to happen, or like, you know, things are going to change or alter
Yep.
what you're going to see for the next upcoming month or whatever. But now it's like, literally, when you get to a filler pay-per-view, it really is just that. I mean, look at Clash of Champions, that was a filler pay-per-view, nothing happened.
No,
no. And then it was like Hell in a Cell was meant to be like, I guess, because it's a themed pay per view, you'd think that it's going to be something big, and it's the one that's meant to set up all the stuff ready for Survivor Series, but yet nothing really happened at this one.
There was some major stuff.
I mean, it happened, but it was like nothing was kind of like a. Okay. I think I know what I mean, but it's probably not coming off how I wanted it to come off. But it's like I felt so maybe it's that the things happened at the pay per view, but then there wasn't any buzz for it happening. It kind of like happened out the blue, or happened just like you can imagine that they kind of walked into work that day and they were like, okay, so this is gonna happen, and they just changed it.
But that's WWE as all the time. There's so many times you see on new dirt sheets that people saying like
they changed it like an hour beforehand.
Yeah, and they Vince doesn't like it, and then or they just do it on the fly. Watch the show is on.
Right.
It's,
but it just seemed very what's it called? Was I talking then?
I was wondering what it was.
No,
idea. Yeah.
But yeah, so it just felt very kind of like things happened that weren't necessarily things happened that kind of either didn't necessarily make sense or didn't need to happen just yet,
Right.
and whatnot. But then I also felt like this pay-per-view was rushed in a lot of storyline aspects. So because I do think that, well, actually, when we start talking about the matches, I can say what we get to,
Of course. My general consensus of the match was definitely the pay per view. I thought it was quite solid. It was. It's you.
Why is my watch talking? I'm sorry, people. 1 second.
Yeah. So basically, I thought it was a solid pay per view. I enjoyed it way more than I thought, but I think it was the matches that I was looking forward to actually delivered, which was the opening match. I was surprised was the opening match.
Yeah,
which
I was
thought,
surprised about that too.
Which I thought the reason they did it was for a reason for later on, but we'll go into that a bit later. But nothing really happened. And of course the Bailey and Sasha match, because of course it's Bailey versus Sasha.
You're looking forward to a women's match. That's interesting.
For them, like they never really failed, but then they never really failed. So that's why I really enjoyed it. But for me it was compared to Clash of Champions, it was way more solid, and if anything, more stuff on the SmackDown side was stronger than the Raw side.
Right.
That's another thing as well, which again we'll dive into. But yeah, overall, I think it was solid. But let's just quickly go into all the matches that happened that night. Starting off with the probably not. Let's just there was a pre-show kickoff show for the WWE 24/7 Championship, and it was between R-Truth and Drew Gulak.
Big fan of Drew Gulak. I don't understand why. I mean, I'm happy that he's being used, but in the 24/7 picture, I really don't think he deserves that. Honestly, but if he's being used, he's being used, so I can't knock that. But I didn't watch the match, and I don't know.
You and me both. Nothing really ever happens on the kickoff show. That's been well documented for for a long time.
I think the last the last kickoff show or the last something that happened on a kickoff show would have been the Usos and New Day at SummerSlam, right?
Yeah.
And that was like a thing where that match was probably the match of the night, and it was on the kickoff show.
Yeah.
And it was just like crazy. But other than that, I can't think of any like kickoff shows that I've watched, and it's like they've had a match that kind of was just like, wow, like, you know, really.
Yeah, I don't know why they should just cut that. It's ridiculous. But so yeah, that happened. That was on for 5 minutes 25 seconds, and then we move on to the opening match on the main card, which for me surprised the hell out of me, which was obviously Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso for the WWE Universal Championship, and it was in a Hell in a Cell I Quit match.
Right. How much time did they get?
Literally
how much
29 minutes 20 seconds.
Oh, so there was half an hour from the ring start, yeah?
Yeah.
From the ring bell.
Yeah.
Okay, because admittedly for this match, I'm not gonna lie. So the network, because I was watching it on my iPad instead of like on my PlayStation or anything like that, purely because the downloadable content for Pokemon Shield came out. So you know, I wanted that on my TV and whatnot, and I'm playing the downloadable content for that, and then you know, so I had Hell in a Cell playing in the background and whatnot. But so the when you watch it on the iPad, I'm not sure about the PlayStation and stuff, but when you watch on iPad, when you go to watch it, it includes the kickoff show. Even though I said watch it from the beginning, it played it from just when the kickoff show ended. So I watched the opening as in that the promo package, the fireworks and the pyro, and then it bled into their storyline and their entrance. Yeah. But then what happened was I went to it wasn't giving me the option to skip or to do anything like that. So and that came back out and went back into it. It then forwarded up to a part where I guess did they have straps around their arms?
Yeah.
So I kind of watched the match from then onwards. If I missed a bunch of stuff that went on in that cell, I probably missed a bunch of stuff.
Oh, wow.
But in terms of that bit, I saw all the storytelling and all of that like towards the end. Yeah. And admittedly for me, you know, I'm going to say I mark for a heel. So when Roman's all getting all sad and then the Usos are like, no, you need to stop. And Heyman's like, yo, you need to stop. I'm like, okay, Reigns, like, don't fail me now. Like, I want to see this. I want to see this, like, you know, this beast or this animal come out and whatnot. And then Roman started like caving, and I'm like, no, is it going to be that thing where they're going to become like kind of like a how it was before when it was Reigns and Usos, but when it was like the babyface style and whatnot, I was like, oh no, they're not going to go that route, are they, kind of thing. And then like Roman kind of put Jimmy Uso or whatever it was in that guillotine, and I was like, oh yes, I was like, yes. So I was marking out for that, and then
it was fucking absolutely beautiful. Like, I loved it from the beginning. Like, obviously, loved it from the beginning. You see Uso come out with the tribal white roses around his neck.
Yeah.
And then Reigns comes out, and then obviously they're busy talking because there's a lot of talking between these two and during these matches, but it just works so well. And they were just going back and forth. Reigns was beating the hell out of Jey. Jey came back with a few super kicks and whatnot. Then obviously Reigns kept on getting pissed. He kept on spearing the hell out of Jey. Then eventually when the straps came out, they started whipping each other. Reigns took some licks. Uso took some licks. And then it was just every time you think Jey was gonna get momentum, Reigns just shut it down. And then he was to the point where he completely obliterated him. He put the chair next to Jay's face, and then he did the no, it's not chair. He put the steel steps next to his face, and then he did the drive by and completely just squashed him.
Yeah, I saw that. But I was like, yeah, I'm running for this.
I fucking loved it.
I'm digging heel Reigns as long as he keeps up that. I'm gonna say aggression. If he keeps that going,
it's aggression, but with swagger. Like I can't explain it. It's not just your typical brutal powerhouse. He does it with swagger, and anytime like he's that face I look and he gives, and he puts his hand out, and then Heyman either hands him the mic or he hands him the title. It's just like that kind of the swag with it, like, you know, he's just a legit badass. And like I said, when he was about to squash Jey with the steps, and then that's when Jimmy came down saying like, "What's wrong with you? You changed," all that kind of stuff. And then for a second, I thought he was gonna he was gonna turn face again, like he's, you know,
or ended in no contest,
or something like that. And that's what I was like wondering. It's like, no, don't do this short term thing. Like you got Reigns where you want him now. You want people to actually people to like him and actually like him like to hate him kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then like don't make it short term because it's working. This is the strongest thing. This is the strongest thing in my opinion that WWE is doing right now. And then like he just suckered him in, put him in the guillotine choke. Jay was just saying, "Yeah, I quit." It was just I actually stood up and then clapped like it was like 1 a.m. in the morning. I didn't care. It was so good. And then at the end, you see him just walk up to the ramp and you see Alpha and Sika at the top, and you see them actually bless him with the for a second it looked like chilies.
Yes.
Got red chilies. And then just drapes him, make him officially anoint him as the tribal chief, and it was a beautiful sight to see, man.
It was, but I wouldn't know how they could, because I'm still that one that's waiting for the entire repackage of Roman Reigns. Because right now we've gotten 1/3 of the repackage, so he's getting his character down and he's getting his aggression and all of that bit down. But then now we need the visual, because he took off the vest, but that's it. Do you know what I mean? He's still got the weird trousers and the boots and stuff. For some reason he had the gold glove, but he's still the Roman Reigns Empire and whatnot. And it's still all of that. It's very much still Roman Reigns, so, and it's still got that horrible shield theme. So
I think that will change now. Since he's been anointed tribal chief, and he's teased that himself.
Well, he'll get the new theme,
or
the new repackage.
Yeah, he's gonna get that. So and you see that more as the story progresses. And I think with their new anointment from the actual high chiefs and whatnot, 110%. I think you're gonna get something like that. So expect something on SmackDown, I'd say. Because they're in a streak of changing people's theme musics right now.
Yeah, because they changed their producers. So before it was Jim Johnston's, then it was the CFOs, and now I don't even know who it is. But oh my god, whoever it is now, fire them.
It's absolutely
fire
shit.
them.
The newest one they've actually they've done now is Nikki Cross. Have you heard that one?
Yeah, I didn't. I've only heard what Instagram would allow me to hear and whatnot, and it's just like
it's terrible. And the stuff, and then her Titantron, it looks like something that was done in Microsoft Paint, because you just see her name, and then there's sparkles everywhere.
But she shouldn't have sparkles. She's meant to be a crazy one.
What?
Isn't it?
And she came out crazy. I was so freaking backwards. I never understood it. But
right.
But
it's just like But again, so let's hope that with his complete repackage and whatnot, let's hope that they actually go somewhere with that.
And to the point, also as well, at the end of the match, like if. The guy, it was to the point where even Paul Heyman was afraid of Reigns. I don't know if you saw him behind him. He was just like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" Like he was like, shook afterwards. So,
but at the end of the day, Heyman technically got Reigns in that position, so Heyman can't be scared. If like as a manager, you can't be like, "Oh, I brought you to this point." But
no, of course, but he,
like
I love Heyman, man. He's one of the best people that have the best facial expressions in WWE right now, really. So he's pretty good. But moving on to the next match. Was Elias versus Jeff Hardy.
Okay.
I didn't give a shit about this one, to be honest. I hate it. I'm so tuned out of the storyline.
So admittedly, I don't even know what storyline is. And it's one of those ones where it's like, as much as I ride for Jeff Hardy, yes, my favorite wrestler growing up and everything like that, I've always rode hard for Jeff Hardy and everything like that. But I'm at the point right now where he's just kind of fallen off for me. And I feel like
WWE don't see that.
I feel like I don't see him in the way that I saw him in like his 2008 run.
Oh yeah,
and whatnot. So how he was then, or like 2008, 2009 run and whatnot, that was probably like when I would say in WWE that was when he peaked.
Yeah, 110%.
And then it's like, he went away for all that amount of time, and then unfortunately in that amount of time he managed to have so many fuck ups and stuff that it's almost like, you guys returned at WrestleMania. Big moment, great moment. Not going to take that away from them. But then it's like, but then it's just that thing where, like, even when you watch them and you watch the quality of their wrestling, both Hardy Boys and whatnot, you can see that it's almost like they wrestle for about 10 seconds and then they're limping or they're out of breath, or it's like, and it's just like, what are we doing here, people? Like, it's just like, guys, please, I don't.
I mean, on the plus side, they last longer than Goldberg, but go on.
But then that's just the thing. I don't want it to get to the point now where Jeff Hardy is literally giving us, DX versus Brothers of Destruction type matches. Do you know what I mean? Like, just kind of like, I think that Jeff Hardy could have literally gone out with the Sheamus feud, because that was a really good bit of work. I did like that feud and whatnot. The matches, whether they paid off or not, I'm not sure, because in all honesty, I paid more attention to the story than the matches.
Yeah.
But then, in terms of, Jeff Hardy being moved to Raw, which again, if we're going to talk about the draft and stuff, that was a dumb move in my opinion.
Dumb.
But moving him to Raw, and then now he's feuding with Elias, who returned for the draft, right?
Yes.
Yeah, who again got moved to Raw, and it was like, so he was barely on SmackDown. He had a match at WrestleMania, but he was barely on SmackDown to get drafted back to Raw. And then it's just like,
there's so many short term like people that actually got traded to SmackDown or Raw, and then all of a sudden they go back there again. Like,
right.
Please see AJ Styles. Please see Apollo Crews. Please see Elias. You know, it's just it's ridiculous. But
then with this match, I don't actually know what the storyline is. I'm going to assume from what I saw in the highlights, I just remember, did Elias do a concert and then Jeff Hardy interfered, or he turned up in a hoodie or something? Or was
he turned up in a hoodie, and because obviously he wanted to get him back after Elias hit Jeff Hardy with the guitar
on draft night.
I think it was draft night, because he was facing AJ Styles, I believe.
Okay, yes.
It was, or something like that.
Yes,
he cost him the match. Basically, Elias just basically says that Jeff Hardy was the one that ran him over. Remember that storyline when?
Oh my God!
It's basically that.
Oh, okay. That makes so much more sense now. Wow. Okay.
Even though it's like it's blatantly that
I completely forgot about that.
See,
that's why he was off TV, right?
Yeah, because he was injured. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. That actually makes more sense now. Okay. So they brought a whole storyline back that we completely forgot, or I've completely forgot about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's basically that he keeps on saying that he's the one that ran him over, and he's just paying him back just by
Okay. But as for this match, I didn't watch it. Who won and how long was it?
Elias won by disqualification because Elias was about to go out. He was trying to beat him, and then he was trying to do a swanton bomb, and then Elias went to the ringside. The hard pit, hard bit. He was about to do that, and then Jeff Hardy was about to do a swanton bomb on there, and I was just thinking, please don't do that. You're gonna.
He already did that. Like he did it to Shinsuke at SummerSlam.
I know. Again. And then again, Elias rolled out again, and he was about to do it on the floor. Then Elias got up. He was about to reach for a guitar. He swung. Jeff Hardy ducked. He grabbed it, and then he hit Elias with the guitar, and it was a disqualification.
Okay,
that was it. The match was typically something you would see on Monday Night Raw. It should have been on Raw. It was.
But then, mind you, given the format of a pay-per-view, you need that match that's going to slow down.
No, I get that, but it was like there was nothing special about it. That's what I mean. It was something that you would see on weekly TV.
All right.
Moving on. Next match was this one I was kind of surprised about. The Miz versus Otis, and it was a singles match for the Money in the Bank contract, which means whoever wins gets to keep the Money in the Bank contract, and the Miz won.
Right. So,
what's your thoughts on that one?
With this, I said from the get-go, and I think I even said this on the show, I was not here for Otis winning Money in the Bank, and I said that because I was like, I don't see Otis, regardless of how you think that he could be changed or storyline wise, or if they even wanted to keep them as a comedic act and whatnot. I was like, I'm just not here for Otis. I never have been, in all honesty. Yeah. Even when they were Heavy Machinery and stuff in NXT briefly, or even when on the main roster, I've just not been here for Heavy Machinery.
Me neither.
And then, what's it called? Yeah, I guess Otis had his moment with Mandy Rose and whatnot, and I was kind of digging that storyline and whatnot. But then, to give him Money in the Bank, I was like, given the talent or the superstars that were in that match, but you give it to Otis. I understand they were probably doing the swerve like they did with Zack Ryder and whatnot, and it's that whole, the element of surprise. Like there were so many, like, I guess, top stars in that match that you were like, yeah, they're gonna get it, and then you give it to Otis, and then for how long Otis? So he won that Money in the Bank, and we're now at what, Hell in a Cell.
No,
what has Otis done that's kind of put him in a position to kind of believe that he'll cash in Money in the Bank? Do you get what I mean?
No.
So they've done nothing with him and whatnot. I honestly forgot who was Money in the Bank. I've forgotten that many times until when I see the highlights, and I've seen that he's been having this this thing with the Miz or Miz and Morrison or whatnot, running their storyline and whatnot. But I saw they did a court. Was it court?
Yeah. Wrestler's Court. Yeah.
And that's how it got to it being the match for the contract.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So in that match, in all honesty, from when I heard that it was going to be for the contract, I was like, okay, so this is the perfect opportunity to actually give it to someone who matters. The fact that it was Miz, I'm like, because he's already been Money in the Bank and whatnot, and it's the Miz. But then it's like, and then also the cynic in me will see that as Miz put himself in that blind to white privilege box when he spoke or had that discussion with Big E on Talking Smack about positioning and whatnot.
Yeah.
And he was like, when he lost the WWE title, he was never again in the main event picture, and he has to work 10 times harder to get back there, and Kofi Kingston's gonna have to do the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then it's like, again, you have to see that thing of, but look at how long Kofi's been there in comparison to the Miz. And then it's like, and look at how quick Miz got his opportunity, kind of thing. And then he's blind to that, and whatnot, and all of that. But Miz put himself in that category and everything like that.
And keep in mind that basically, if Mustafa Ali never got injured, Kofi would never been at WrestleMania.
There is that too, but then in the same breath, it's like
it would have been at WrestleMania, but it wouldn't be for the title. It would probably with the New Day.
True, very true. But then that aside, like Mustafa Ali getting injured, it was unfortunate, but it worked out for the better.
Exactly.
And then it's like, so now that the Miz is, what's it called, Mr. Money in the Bank, I guess, it's just that thing where I do feel like, so I'm kind of like, meh, that Miz is Mr. Money in the Bank. But in the same breath, I do feel like when he is the Money in the Bank holder, given, I guess, his position, he'll be prominent with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like now we'll remember who is Mr. Money in the Bank, and now we're going to be kind of etching for when's he going to cash in. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Also, it's a more believable cash in when it's the Miz.
Exactly, 100%. I think that definitely agree with Otis. I was pissed when it happened when he actually won it. My money was like on someone like Aleister Black or.
Oh my God! All the stars in that match, any star.
But I think obviously during that time, and on certainty, I think there was WWE was very high on doing like comedic. No, not WWE. Vince was very high on comedic stuff. With not just with him, but obviously when it was Jeff Hardy and Sheamus, he kept doing the pissing thing in the ring. Then there was that karaoke stuff. It was a period in the summer where WWE was Vince was high up on that this stuff. So when they gave it to Otis, and they weren't sure what was going to happen in the future, obviously keep in mind that this was this was obviously before they knew that we were going to have the Thunderdome. This was before they knew they were going to get Roman Reigns back as well, because they most likely thought that we ain't going to see Roman Reigns till next year.
Right.
So when people started coming back and they were able to secure the Thunderdome, put everyone in the bubble, and then they could get the biggest stars back again. That's when they was just like, oh shit, we made a mistake, So that's why they didn't bother to even really make him attempt to do a cash in, and at the same time they didn't want to waste it by him doing a comedic fail like a Baron Corbin or something like that. Because we already had that. So I think that's why this was their get out of jail card. And because they already had like this ongoing feud with The Miz, they just thought, all right, he, like you said, he's someone more believable. Yeah. He may not be the ideal pick, but he's someone more believable. And, that could be a potential for it's been 10 years since he won it. He's cashed in and won. Mm-hmm. So, why not? And to be honest, to be fair, he's one of the hardest workers in WWE, right? Like he's very dependable. So
yeah, I'll give him his that. I'm not going to discredit that or anything. Yeah, like that.
And I think if anything, you can have because to be honest, I didn't really enjoy his first title run, because when you think about
his only title run.
Sorry,
his only title run.
Sorry, his only title run. His first and only title run, because he was, as soon as The Rock and Cena came in, he was second fiddle. Like he was not part of the equation. It was all about mainly it was The Rock and Cena.
But Miz was still in the WrestleMania main event.
He was, but do you remember the match?
No.
Exactly.
I remember how it ended, but I couldn't tell you about that match.
Yeah, he was concussed, but no one remember. Like anytime they show packages, they don't show him in there. Like when it's always between them two. So I think now because he's built himself up, he's been an awesome United States champion and Intercontinental champion. And has been in good feuds. Great talker. When he cashes in, it should be, I think it'll be a big deal, 110%. When that will happen, and knowing the fact that the next Money in the Bank is not far away now, because it's creeping up.
Like the next 6 months or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, less than that. So we're running out of time of using that. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. They definitely opened it up now. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But and also a major factor in that match was that Otis's old tag team partner turned on him.
Yeah, which again is to me it's just I dislike. I mean, okay, I understand that I guess the typical story for this breakup is going to be that Otis is up there and Tucker's down here, right?
110%.
That's going to be like the hierarchy or the reason for this storyline and stuff. But who wants it?
No one knows.
Like, yeah, like who? Like it's like a storyline like that would matter if it was a New Day. It would matter if it was, you know, who's another? Wait, who are the tag teams right now?
They don't care about tag teams at all.
Right, like, but
There's
like,
Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode.
right, but it's like no, it's like you know, like when you get like a tag team who are like a prominent tag team, like a force.
Yeah.
And when someone's gonna turn on someone, so like if Xavier Woods turned on Kofi and whatnot, it would make sense because Kofi's been champion. Xavier Woods kind of fell off because he was injured and whatnot. It makes sense. And that's the storyline that you can get behind. And because there's years there, you can build on something. Heavy Machinery kind of came in like yesterday. Yeah. And then they're breaking up today. And you're going to make a storyline out of it. And it's like, but who asked for that?
It's forced.
Like,
Same
who are
as
these
how
people?
when it was Enzo and Cass, that was forced. Well, what other ones were forced?
I mean, you could kind of say Crime Time, kind of. But then that had potential. They just didn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
But then... yeah, so that was just
Lucha House Party. That one was forced, and then they just
what even happened with that? Weren't they like fighting at the last pay-per-view, and now they're a tag team again?
Yeah, 2/3 of it. Kalisto stayed in SmackDown. The other two has gone to Raw. That's like they didn't really have a blow off. They just fighted amongst each other and then they split.
Yeah, well, you say split, but they're still on Raw, and then Kalisto's on SmackDown. But if anything, like in terms of Lucha House Party in general, like I feel like if they were gonna break up, it would make sense for the two to. So it would make sense for them to have like a Kabuki Warrior moment, like you know when Asuka spit Paige out of the equation. It would make sense for them to kick Kalisto out because he's a star.
Yeah.
I could like in all honesty, I'm that one that I always forget who's in Lucha House Party. I think it's Kalisto,
Gran Metalik, and Lindsay Dorado.
Right. So I always forget the other two, but then I always know Kalisto's in it. I'm like, okay, so it's Kalisto and the other two kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he's a star and whatnot. So it's understandable if they're going to turn on him. But if you're just going to leave him on SmackDown and put the other two on Raw, and it's like, oh, okay, well, sure.
So yeah, obviously the Tucker thing, I think that will keep Tucker in the conversation for now because I got a feeling after this, it's just dark days because everyone knows it's quite evident that Otis is the more charismatic one. Where Tucker, I'm sure he has potential, but during Heavy Machinery, he was just in the back, and I think that's the whole point, and that's in a way, that's the whole point of this storyline. Apparently, he's like saying like who helped out, who did most of the heavy lifting, me. Who gets shafted at the back, me. It's like a typical breakup of a tag team, and I'm just like. Yeah.
But again, it's like the tag team aren't that prominent to kind of warrant such a storyline or such a build or such effort. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. It's
like I said, Heavy Machinery came in yesterday and they're getting this big old storyline. It's like, well, who cares? Who asked for it?
No, yeah, 110%.
But so Miz won. You know, congratulations to the Miz. Now we'll actually see something happen with that Money in the Bank briefcase, and I look forward to that.
110%. So the next match was Sasha Banks versus Bayley in the Hell in a Cell match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. We all know he's gonna flip and jizz over this one in a minute.
Yes.
So the floor is yours, Mr. Rhymes.
Well, no, so I think earlier on I mentioned that I felt like this pay-per-view was rushed, or it's the thing where a lot of the stuff is happening at this pay-per-view and it didn't warrant it already. So this match, Sasha Banks and Bayley, has been a match that we have been asking for, campaigning for, trying to get for years. And you know the first
sorry, pause. Buff chicken, your fruit punch. Yeah.
Oh god, he plug in.
Yeah, 100%. I'm gonna get a case of these one time. Sorry, carry on.
But yeah, so this is so you gotta remember that the rumblings for this came about at WrestleMania 34. So, because the whole point was that we were meant to get their singles match at that WrestleMania, but I guess the card was too saturated as it was, that their feud kind of got moved into the women's battle royal, right? Yeah. And then, you know, they've been kind of doing that on and off thing, trying to like, you know, tease the rivalry. Then they didn't become, what were they, the role models? Whatever they were called as a tag team or whatever?
Yeah, the role models, yeah.
So, you know, they've been teasing this feud and everything for so long, and then you finally kind of give it to us. But then you give them the kind of the big match in their first match.
Right.
Do you get what I mean? So it's like, again, so
you're saying it should have been a non-title or like a non-finisher?
No, not even that. I'm just saying that a Hell in a Cell match as your first match in the feud. I understand that it's a build-up that would have been built up since that WrestleMania and then in their whole time, and it's like a long build-up. But you have to remember that literally last month they were tag team champions, and then it was just the night that they lost it that Bayley turned on Sasha Banks, right, or something like that.
No, they were trying to win it back. They had a rematch.
Yes. So it was like, so it was literally kind of like so she attacked Sasha Banks, and then it was like a week without Sasha Banks, and then Sasha Banks returned. They've been having feuds on and off the shows and stuff like that. And Sasha Banks returned as Clash of Champions, didn't she?
Yes.
And it's like, again, so it's kind of like that whole, it's rushed, like, and then the first time that they're actually going to have the fight, it's like for the title, and it's inside Hell in a Cell. So it's like, so although this in itself is such a big feud and such a big moment for them, where do they go from here? They've had the big match.
I mean,
and they had it on a filler pay-per-view. So it's like,
I mean, there's definitely potential for it to even keep it going. See how I would have booked it, how WWE should have booked it was that they could still keep it as how it is, up until Hell in the Cell, but Bayley retains
inside the cell.
So
still have it as a Hell in a Cell match.
Still have it as a Hell in a Cell match, and to keep that losing streak because Sasha Banks has yet to win in the cell, so that'll be a little thing to obviously, Bayley keeps on bringing it up weeks prior. She said like you've been in all women's Hell in a Cell matches, you haven't won one. What makes you think you're gonna beat me? So Bayley keeps that going. She wins. They may have like another match, maybe like do a traditional tag team match out of Survivor Series.
So Team Bayley versus Team Sasha.
Yeah. Team Bayley versus Team Sasha. Just somehow during that, Bayley obliterates Sasha again, like she's off TV. Come to Royal Rumble, Sasha Banks wins the Royal Rumble. Then they have the big match at Mania, and then Sasha Banks gets her big WrestleMania moment. She has yet to have a big WrestleMania moment. So
yeah, she does have yet to have that.
Yeah,
and I get that.
That's like proper long, even though this thing is actually in WWE standards, this is long-term booking.
It is because, like I say, it started back at WrestleMania 34, but in the same breath, it's like, they've been so kind of, they've been more of a unit, especially this year and whatnot. So to kind of have them break up and to me, it just feels like because it's for the title, because it's inside Hell in a Cell, it's a big match. Yeah. So therefore, it's like, and that's their first match. Yeah. So then it's just that whole thing of kind of like what we said with Edge and Orton. It's like, well, if in their first match it was last man standing, right? So it's like, well, where do we go from here? And then they went into had the greatest wrestling match ever, and it was like, but they had the big match at Mania. Mm-hmm. So there was kind of, well, yeah, where do you go from here? Mm. And so this is the same Bayley Sasha is like, yeah, there's potential for it to continue, but they've had the big match on filler pay-per-view. Yeah. So it was kind of like maybe they could have just had like so you remember with Becky Lynch and Charlotte, they just had a regular match at Hell in a Cell, but then they had the last woman standing at Evolution.
Yeah, no, I get that.
So it's like, so they could have had like just a regular match, whatever it was going to be. Like it could have even been without the title. It could have just been a regular match to kind of just be that Sasha is more gunning for Bayley. And then she can gun, and then when she gets whatever revenge she gets in that match, now she wants the title. So then that feud has the potential to still continue.
Right. Maybe so, yeah. But I think because of obviously how much animosity they have, like when it comes to like the proper blood feuds, they in their eyes it has to be in a cell. Like Jay and Roman, that's a blood feud that has to be in the cell. Drew and Orton, but in a way it has to be in a cell because they've had this 3 months, beating the hell out of each other and breaking into each other's jaws and all that kind of stuff. So that has to be in the cell. Sasha and Bayley, even though like I guess in a way it's been a bit rushed, but I think because we've waited for so long, it's quite divisive. I think there are people that would agree that it should be in the cell, and some people would be like, oh, why does it have to be in the cell? Like, does it warrant that? So I think that bit is divisive, but I think in my opinion, like, I would be pissed if it wasn't in the cell, to be honest, because they can both go, like, they got great chemistry. Sasha's great in the cell, Bayley's great as we've seen, and the finish was Quite innovative.
I like that whole match.
Yeah.
I feel like, so because unfortunately for the women, Sasha and Becky Lynch set the tone last year.
Yes.
So, because that match was uber violent, it was uber innovative. So it was like, okay, so any Hell in a Cell match women have now, you be held to that standard. Because I'm sorry, like as much as Charlotte and Sasha in the first one was meant to be like the kind of the bar.
Yeah.
They set a bar, it's just not the bar.
No.
And then you know,
we are the bar. Yeah.
So then it's like, you know, so this year it was kind of that thing of, okay, then Sasha Banks, she's in the cell again. She's now with Bailey, and it's like, okay, then so they've got to now top last year's one, and I think that they did. I honestly 100%. Think that this year's one, like in terms of the match.
Fun fact: I haven't properly seen that Becky and Sasha Banks match.
What?
So that match is your Rollins and Bray Wyatt match.
No, but then see, I haven't watched that match entirely. You saw bits of it, or at least seen some of it. You just haven't watched it in its entirety, like you haven't watched it from start.
I've already
to finish.
seen like little, like, you know, wherever they're showing highlight reels. I haven't seen that actual match from beginning, middle, or end. I haven't seen that.
Oh, but I'm saying, but you've seen parts of it.
Yeah.
Whereas see with the Seth Rollins and the Fiend one, I haven't seen anything to do with it. Even all I remember is the end, and that's only because I've seen that on highlights, or you guys were talking about it on your show, on your rant show.
Please also make sure you see that show, the fall and failure of Hell in the Cell 2019. Awesome episode.
So I have not actually sat there and watched that match at all.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know where I was going with that, but So
solid.
how long was that match?
That match was 26 minutes and 35 seconds.
Wow, that match felt so much quicker in my opinion.
All the matches were pretty much given half an hour. All Hell in a Cell matches.
Right. But that match did what it had to do.
100%.
I don't think there's anything else that they could have done. I would have thought it would have been an overkill if they would have done the whole go outside the cell, climb the cage, and all that kind of stuff again. Because Chester's already done that. So you know, do something different, I guess. Yeah. And then, they delivered. I didn't feel like, did they have a table moment? I feel like the table was out, but they didn't do anything with it, right?
I don't think so. No. There was mainly kendos and chairs.
Which even then, the fact that I still think that, there was a bit where she like fell onto the kendo stick, and I was worried for Sasha Banks, like splinters and stuff. She fell onto it and it like caved.
No, there was one where I remember Bailey just face planted Sasha one time. She just like threw her face into the floor outside, and it just sounded disgusting. It was so fucking brutal. But
they delivered I did want Sasha Banks to win, but then that's just because I'm Team Banks always. Mm-hmm. But then had she have lost, I think
I don't think it would have hurt her.
It wouldn't have hurt her, but it's that thing where it's always like they kind of build Sasha Banks up to lose.
Oh yeah.
In a lot of the times that she'll be built up and whatnot, like even in the Becky Lynch feud and whatnot, she was built to be like, so come that pay-per-view, she would be the one to dethrone Becky Lynch, and she lost. And then it was like, you know, she was the one she could never beat Charlotte to retain her title and whatnot. And then it's just that whole thing of like, she's just known for losing the big matches and stuff. So this one, I kind of was Team Banks to win. I assumed Bailey was going to retain, but Sasha Banks winning, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm here for it, like completely. I just now hope that they actually give her a lengthy run.
Yeah, 100%. The hot potato shit. Yeah, let's hope not. But yeah, Sasha Banks won, obviously by submission. The next match, again, I couldn't give two hoots about this. It was so pointless. Bobby Lashley versus Slapjack from Retribution. Sorry, Retribution.
That's how they say it.
For what? It's in capital letters with exclamation marks, so you gotta kind of shout. And it was a singles match for the United States Championship. This was over in 3 minutes 50 seconds.
Okay, so who is Slapjack? In terms of like, no, because in the Retribution it's all NXT stars, right? So is Slapjack like that?
Plus Mustafa, but yeah.
Is that Dijakovic?
No. He's what is it? Shane Thorne.
That's Slapjack.
Yes.
Shane Thorne.
Yes.
Okay. So so I, for one, do not care and have never cared for Retribution.
I love how you built that up, like just.
I've never cared for Retribution from the get go. So I remember watching, I guess, was it an episode of Raw maybe, or maybe it was a Smackdown, maybe it was an NXT. I can't remember. Okay. But there was that one episode where I guess the people came out in the black and they're just like terrorizing shit or whatever.
That was Smackdown, yeah.
And then it's just like, it made no sense. Nope. And it was kind of like that whole thing of, okay, then so now we're getting kind of the ramblings of the Nexus or how S.H.I.E.L.D. came about and whatnot, because they were terrorizing things. But when you look back at it and you really kind of dissect those particular teams, factions, what you want to call them, they all had a purpose. So Nexus, it was like they were the people who didn't necessarily win the NXTs or whatever it was, but then, and so they kind of felt like they were deserving of.
Yeah.
So they're all, you know, they all have the common goal to succeed, and that's what they've come to do and whatnot, or whatever their goal was. And then the Shield was the same thing. It was like a brotherhood, and they wanted to all succeed, kind of thing, right? Was that their thing?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And then with Retribution, it's like, okay, you've given them the name Retribution. For what? Do you know what I mean? Because it's like you're like all established stars, I guess you could say, because they're all NXT stars who were not nobodies and whatnot. They've all kind of had runs or done something to a degree. But then what do you want Retribution for? That's how it kind of began. It was kind of like, okay, you're this team that are kind of like mad, or you're kind of this, and it's like you kind of, you know, you're there and you're calling yourself Retribution, so therefore you're out for blood, kind of thing. But for why or for what?
Yeah. And
then you pair Mustafa Ali with them now, right? And it kind of starts to make sense because he's that star that you could believe wants Retribution, and these are his lackeys, kind of thing. It makes sense in that degree. And then I think I read a post somewhere that the idea is that he's meant to come out as being the Smackdown hacker, which again makes sense for why Retribution would be a thing. And then I guess if whatever storyline that you want to go with Mustafa Ali, he feels underlooked, underappreciated, underrated, whatever he wants to go for, it makes sense because of who he is. But they're not doing it. So
no, they have.
They now.
They said it in a quick backstage segment. He just Blase said like, yeah, so I was just Smackdown hacker. Anyway, we are Retribution. That's the way it basically was. It was just through like some dead, like you could, if you didn't watch the highlights or if you didn't watch Raw, you would have easily missed it. They did not.
Well, that was me. I easily missed it. So I did not know that and whatnot. But yeah, so I just feel like it's kind of like the momentum that they could have had with this team and whatever momentum the team did have, it is what it is. And the fact that you're going to have Bobby Lashley squash one of your members in like 3 minutes and stuff like that. It's just
not only that, the week prior, The Fiend completely squashed all of them, buried all of them on Raw.
Yes, I think I saw that.
So ever since that happened, there's no credibility to this team whatsoever.
Right, it's just like now we just, like I said, I never cared for them in the get-go, and now I just feel like you've put them in a position now where people just don't need to care for them at all.
Yeah.
And whatnot. So it's just like, you know.
What was the whole point for them in the first place? Like, the names are dead. The people that you've chosen to be in there is just... like just no. The only menacing one that's in there was is the black guy Dio Madden.
All right,
he's got with the Predator hair look and all that kind of stuff. But why are you putting Mia Yim there? Why are you putting in Dijakovic? There was nothing wrong with their characters. They didn't need no repackaging. You put Mercedes in, Mercedes Martinez. Then you dropped her out again.
Yeah,
and now you got Shane Thorne, whose overall rating is like 69 or something in WWE 2K. So that just says all about him. And then and you put Mustafa Ali. So it's like there was nothing. And plus they can't even recognize their previous characters. They're like that's completely. It's a legit reset. They can't acknowledge their previous.
Right, so then it's like, what do you want Retribution for?
Exactly.
So it doesn't make sense. It's like even if Mia Yim was going to say that she was formerly Mia Yim and now she's this name, but she wasn't underutilized or underrated and stuff. So what does she want Retribution for? No. Dijakovic had one of the best matches in NXT. What does he want Retribution for? It's like Shane Thorne. Who the hell is he? What do you want Retribution for? Kind of thing. You know, there's no.
I think they were just literally throwing stuff at the wall. Like I think because it came out at the same time as Raw Underground came out. That was the same time as.
That had potential. It just wasn't great.
No, exactly. I think they were just throwing a lot of things at the wall, and for some reason they were wondering like why it didn't work. But at the same time, it's their fault that it didn't work.
Right.
It was, it's you're right. If they're feeding them to all these people, and they keep on saying we want change, we're gonna be doing this, we're gonna be doing that, but they're losing every week. And Mustafa Ali is commanding all these lackeys to go out to get squashed, and he's just there by himself, and then he runs out, and then he's just fucking mugging everyone in the ring, or the Hurt Business, because that's what it did right now. It's the Hurt Business.
Mad potential for them too.
I love the
mad
Hurt
potential.
Business. I love the Hurt Business. It's a shame they couldn't get Ricochet, but the fact that he's not on Raw now, it wouldn't surprise me.
He's not on Raw.
No, because I think it was during the draft week. And then they had like this final blow-off match saying like, I'll face Cedric or face one of them in the Hurt Business. And then if I lose, then I join the Hurt Business. or if I win, then we are done. And then Ricochet won, and then he got beat down afterwards, but we haven't seen him back since. So hopefully that will be, because he's off TV, he might eventually come up and then join the Hurt Business, because I think that would be freaking awesome. And I wish that Apollo Crews could join in there, but he's going to SmackDown. But yeah, I love the Hurt Business. I love their attire. I love the way they come out. You know, the picks that they put in there is great. MVP is a great talker, as we all know. So yeah, that's them. But I mean, like I said, yeah, but you're feeding Retribution to them, and like you did all this big stuff, like they've tearing up the ring and throwing Molotovs at generators and shit.
Right.
And for what? Yeah,
right. It's like there was no payoff in that.
Get rid of them. Just
right.
You know, and you can't blame anyone but yourself.
And it's so unfortunate that for a match that lasted 3 minutes, we have spent so much time, like, you know, just tearing into Retribution. So what was the next match?
Yeah, the next match was the main event.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Which I was kind of disappointed that this was the main event, but I digress. It was Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship in a Hell in a Cell match.
And there was no stipulations or anything,
no stipulations,
just Hell in a Cell.
Just Hell in a Cell. Yep. This one was 30 minutes, 35 seconds long.
Agree. So for me, I didn't watch this match. I didn't even see their entrances or anything like that. I just because again, my network on the iPad was like messing up and stuff. So when I turned it back on, it was at the point where I want to say they were for some reason outside the cell. How they got outside, I do not know. And then Randy Orton climbed up, and then Drew McIntyre followed him.
Oh wow, you missed a chunk. Okay, cool, yeah.
Yeah, so it was then, and then I guess they climbed down. McIntyre took the
table bump,
yeah, whatnot,
into
and
airbags,
yeah, and then they kind of went back in. I couldn't tell you how they got back in or how that went about and whatnot. And I just remember,
after that table bump, you just see obviously Drew McIntyre just bleeding through the mouth. Don't know if that was actually him or he bust a blood packet, and then he was trying to make his way slowly to the into the ring, but for that whole time they just kept replaying the table bump again and again and again and again and again.
Oh yes,
that's what they were doing. And then eventually, by the time it went back, you just somehow see him like crawling into them in there, and then.
Oh yeah, so I remember Cole was like, "Oh, McIntyre's determined to finish this match." So he went back in the cell or something like that, and I was like, "Oh, okay, sure." And then I just remembered it being in the ring, and then I guess I did a couple more bits and pieces in the ring. I did McIntyre miss a Claymore, and then Randy Orton hit the RKO, and then it's like a 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And so I'm always going to be an Orton fan to a degree. Yes, I understand that Randy Orton's still a big name and can still be a credible champion, but do I think now would have been the time to end McIntyre's run or end his everything? I think it's too soon.
No.
So this is what I meant when I said earlier. I felt like things happened that didn't need to happen.
Yeah, 100%. There was nothing wrong with Drew McIntyre's title reign. Everyone enjoyed him. He's obviously had a couple filler feuds in there with Dolph Ziggler and whatnot. And there was some feuds that could have lasted a bit longer, like the one he had with Bobby Lashley. But he was a credible champion. It's cool. He's good in the mic, and it's not just any title reign. This was actually a history-making title reign. He's the first Scottish WWE champion.
Right. Technically, wouldn't this have been the same? Wouldn't this have been the same amount of time? So he had the same run as Kofi Kingston.
Yeah, it is the same run as Kofi, 110%.
Because Kofi Kingston won against Randy Orton at Hell in a Cell, but then lost on SmackDown's debut on Fox, right? Which was like a week or two later.
Yeah.
So
it's around the same time. But I'll be real, this one was more enjoyable than Kofi's reign, in my opinion, anyway.
Oh, in terms of the McIntyre champion.
Yeah. I enjoyed this reign than Kofi's. Like there was more meaningful feuds in this one than they were with Kofi's. Kofi's one didn't really pick up until he faced Randy Orton, in my opinion.
Right, that was his signature feud.
Yeah, that was his signature because he had Dolph Ziggler, he had Samoa Joe, he had
Kevin Owens.
Did he have Kevin? Yeah, brief. See, they
I
were
think that
all
was his
short.
first one.
Yeah, his first one because he joined New Day and he turned on them. Yeah, so it was Kevin Owens, Dolph Ziggler, Samoa Joe, Randy Orton, and then a very, very brief one with Brock Lesnar.
That wasn't brief. That was one night. Like, I'm never gonna get over that, but it is what it is.
But yeah. So that was that. So I think this one was more enjoyable. But do I think it was time for him to let it go? 110% no. I think he could have definitely held it up until a Money in the Bank cash in, or at least up until do a whole year. Why not?
Mania.
Do it to Mania, and then who he faces, I don't know. That's another conversation. But Yeah, he definitely had a lot of gas in his tank. But obviously, the way things are going, I don't think this is the end. I think this is it wouldn't surprise me if he regains it again.
I can probably see them doing because you know what's interesting is that around the main belts, so Universal or the WWE title, there hasn't been a multi-person match in quite a long time.
Right.
Because I think even if you look at the Chamber, it wasn't for the title, was it?
No.
So in the Elimination Chamber earlier on this year, what was the men's one for? Was it a tag team or was it?
Did Chamber even happen?
Yes, Shayna Baszler won the women's one. Remember?
Yeah. It was like number one contender matches.
So, so who was Mania this year for? Was it, did Kofi Kingston win in the Elimination Chamber for the
Not
number one
this year,
contender?
last year, you mean?
No, this year,
Yeah.
Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
There wasn't a title one. So there was the women's there was a women's
Yeah.
number one contenders. What was the men's one? Was it tag teams or was it? I think it was tag teams, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think there was a men's because like the hold on. Let me just confirm. Hold on.
Like
yeah, there was none. There wasn't one for the men's.
Men
there
title.
There was a Smackdown Tag Team Championship one. Yeah.
And then the women's.
Because it was meant to be a men's
contenders.
one, but they scrapped it. Because remember there was a leaked image and it had Corbin, Rude, Shinsuke,
Yes.
all them
yes.
kind of people on there, and then they just nixed it. So
But
yeah,
then, so I like honestly, I've trying to rack my brain around it. I can't think of the last time they had a multi-man match for the Universal or the WWE title.
yeah, it's
Always
over a
been
year.
it's always been singles matches. So
Yeah.
I think that now would be the time if they're going to do it. Not necessarily at Survivor Series because then maybe they can hold off until the Royal Rumble or something. I don't know, but what's it called? So it could be a thing where, you know, so McIntyre just lost, but he's still going to be gunning for Orton for whatever reason. The Miz can cash in, and now legit, it's still a 3-man. I understand that we don't necessarily do rematches anymore. It would make sense for it to be that the feud is McIntyre and Orton and whatnot, and then Miz injects himself.
Yeah.
And then now you build Miz up by him retaining against those two. And whether you want these two to do a Reigns and Braun Strowman and still be fighting over there while Miz is now doing his own thing, kind of thing. But then either way, to have a multi-man match, it's about time. It's been a hot minute.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, obviously, we both don't agree that Randy Orton should have won.
Couldn't tell you much about this match, and from what
it
I'm
was
seeing,
slow. It was a typical Orton match. It was slow. You get obviously you make them go up and then they come down. There's a table bump. And then obviously the shock finish. And because in my mind I was kind of ready for them to make it change hands. I wasn't too pissed off about it because there was talks about Orton winning at Clash of Champions. There was talk about him even winning at SummerSlam. So because there was always talk about it happening, that's why I was kind of like ready for them to pull the trigger. Like even though I wouldn't agree with it, But yeah, this definitely isn't over, and especially with the fact that the Fiend, quite possibly, they're already ejecting the Fiend into the title picture already, even though he just moved to Raw and he just lost the title. They just keep injecting him into the title picture now. So
again, I always say I don't feel like he is a character or a presence that needs the championship. It just
No,
doesn't.
but
They won't add anything to him.
if you're the hardest thing, the title, they think in their eyes the title needs to be around your way, or like you need to be in that title picture.
Yeah, I get that.
So, you know, but I mean, that's just with him, because you know that in a way, you know that he's probably not going to win the title. Even though it's the hardest thing, that can easily diminish you at the same time. You know what I mean?
Because then when he's going to lose the title, it's like...
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So it's jarring. But yeah, I digress. But yeah, so overall, for that pay-per-view, out of 10, what would you give that?
Only because I enjoyed the matches that I did watch on the pay-per-view. So, like I said, I feel like it lacked... oomph, or it lacked the wow factor that would get me drawn to a pay-per-view, but then that's just how they are with fillers. So I'll be nice, I will be lenient, and I won't judge it because, again, I didn't watch a good chunk of the pay-per-view. I will give it a 7.5.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Yeah, I'd say, but this was a very solid pay-per-view, the best that they've done this whole year during the pandemic anyway.
What do you think? Best?
Oh, yeah, I'll say this one, yes, it's a pandemic.
Because see, I would say I was here for SummerSlam. That was probably my favorite one so far.
I need to see the match card and see if I can agree with that again. But, yeah, this one, to memory. But like I said, I think because of the matches that I was looking forward to, they actually delivered, which was the Reigns match and the Sasha Banks and Bayley match. That satisfied me, and because of that, I made it even more solid. So yeah, I think I'll go with that as well, 7.5.
Hey,
out of
look at that
10.
collective.
So yeah, that was a very enjoyable pay-per-view. I didn't fall asleep. That was a huge. I didn't fall asleep or anything.
Well, I was playing the Crown Tundra, so I was, invested in that. But then Hell in a Cell was definitely running in the background, so
yeah,
I could hear what was going on.
Seeing defeated Braun Strowman. Oh, so this was when Reigns came back. Okay,
yeah,
I remember Asuka versus Sasha. Yeah, Drew McIntyre versus
when Asuka and Sasha Banks did that powerbomb.
Seth Rollins versus Dominic. That was good. Yeah.
They did that powerbomb spot on at SummerSlam. That was just freaking awesome.
Yeah. Bailey versus us. Yeah. That's when she pulled double duty. Yeah, that was a solid pay-per-view as well. Yeah. So I think this one and Hell in a Cell, they were I'd say they were the strongest pay-per-view so far this year. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts, guys, on what you thought of the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view of 2020. Was it as good as you thought? Did it exceed your expectations, or do you think it was a total flop? Whatever you think, please make sure you leave your comments below, as I always read them. And yeah, that is our review of WWE Hell in a Cell 2020.
Hey.
Ain't no stopping, can't stop. Ain't no stopping me now. Ain't no stopping, can't stop. Ain't no stopping me now. London's the residence. When no wonder is ever the same when you're striving for greatness. A place full of angels and sinners, but I'm surrounded by winners. Rise is one of the realest. Phoenix is one of the illest.